Trump's historic return to office, the United States enters its 250th year from a position of great economic strength. We are, by all measures, the strongest place for capital in the world. President Trump has led a 12-month transformation of the U.S. economy. Our capital markets are unmatched in their depth and breadth. Economic growth reached approximately 4% in the president's first 2 full quarters in office and exceeded 5% in the fourth quarter, and the Atlanta GDP Fed now is showing 5.3%. This has been driven by investment, productivity gains, and resilient consumer demand. In parallel, inflationary pressures have moderated, labor force participation has strengthened, and private capital formation has accelerated. Wages have grown every single month since President Trump has been in office, and the American worker is strong and resilient. President Trump and I were at a Ford plant in Dearborn, Michigan last week, and that was borne out there. Here in Davos, amid ongoing uncertainty for other countries, market participants are increasingly seeking out jurisdiction that offers stability, clarity, and scale. The United States continues to lead across all 3 dimensions, which is why the rest of the world wants to grow with us and invest with us, and we welcome them with open arms. Taken together, President Trump's policies have delivered a historic economic comeback for both Wall Street and Main Street in record time. For too long, Main Street has been overlooked. President Trump's policies have put American workers first, the backbone of our economy. This leads to prosperity. When our nation prospers, everyone wants a cut. The smart money is on America, and we welcome our partners who want to build, innovate, and expand alongside us. There's rarely been a more compelling case for investing in America, and we invite you all to join in this 250th year and to be part of the next 250 years. So,
thank you, Mr. Secretary. Let's take questions just so you guys are tracking. We have about 20 minutes. I'm going to start in the back there. Please state your name and outlet. Thank you.
Thank you. Secretary Brian Glenn, Real America's Voice. Nice to see you outside the White House door here at Davos. You mentioned the U.S. economy. Trump typically says it's the hottest economy in the world. It was doubted by many in this room and many around the world how it would fail, the tariffs would fall apart. Talk about the historic revenue that the tariffs are bringing in, and I do have a follow-up question on the Fed share.
Good. Well, as I've often said, the Trump economic plan is a 3-legged stool. It is trade, tax, and deregulation. Trade, we have signed historic trade deals, and we are bringing in the hundreds of millions of dollars of tariff revenue. But more importantly than that, on the other side, and I think what goes unnoticed and it should be highlighted, is as we do these trade deals, not only is the U.S. taking in revenue, we have pushed down the tariffs mostly to 0 with other countries, and we've taken down non-tariff trade barriers. That's why you saw a dramatic jump in exports in the U.S. in the third quarter. On tax, we got the one big, beautiful bill done on July 4th, which no one said could be done. And in that, we have full expensing, permanent, which gives business great certainty for equipment. We have full expensing for factories and ag structures, so we are seeing a CapEx boom. The CapEx is up 12%. In the history of economic cycles, CapEx booms always lead to employment booms. And then thirdly, and the silent part that is really taking hold now, is the president's deregulatory agenda. For too long, we have over-regulated. We are in Europe, the center of the great regulatory morass. The Draghi reports came out and said that Europe needs to deregulate. President Trump has taken the initiative and deregulated, whether it's what the Treasury does in financial markets. We are safely and soundly deregulating the banking and financial system. According to Oliver Wyman, we may have added $2.5 trillion in lending capacity, which will help finance our AI boom. In energy, we are making it possible to drill in the U.S. again. And in, excuse me, in every other industry, we are cutting back regulation, and that is leading to great certainty for businesses. We have, in the U.S., we have tax certainty, regulatory certainty, and energy certainty, which makes the U.S. the best place in the world to come and invest.
Yeah, and a follow-up follow-up question real quickly. Can you update us on the hunt for the new Fed chairman to replace Jerome Powell?
We have 4 fantastic candidates. It will be up to the president, and I would imagine that he will have an announcement maybe as early as next week.
Great. We'll start up here at the front. Name and outlet, please. Thank you. Right there. Yep.
What's going to happen with the U.S. agreements on tariffs with the UK and the EU in light of these new tariff threats over Greenland? And why should any country ever enter a trade agreement with this administration when one day to the next the goalposts could change? And how do companies, you just mentioned certainty and just mentioned capital expenditures. If I'm a corporate executive, how do I know how to make decisions about future investments, about CapEx, if I don't know what my costs and fees and customs duties I'm going to face in the future?
Well, again, I would say this is the same kind of hysteria that we heard on April 2nd. There was a panic. And what I'm urging everyone here to do is sit back, take a deep breath, and let things play out. As I said on April 2nd, the worst thing countries can do is escalate against the United States. Back then, only one country, China, escalated. We ended up in an unfortunate tit for tat in tariff raises. We ended up at 145, 125. Through President Trump's good relations with Party Chair Xi, we have managed to stabilize that relationship and given great certainty. And as far as your question about the additional tariffs, what President Trump is threatening on Greenland is very different than the other trade deals. So I would urge all countries to stick with their trade deals. We have agreed on them, and it does provide great certainty.
Great. Thank you. We'll take the next question, please. Let's start here in the front row with the laptop. Please state your name and outlet.
Tim Bartz from German magazine Der Spiegel. If it's true that your economic policies are so successful, why doesn't it resonate with the American people? Your president and the government is highly unpopular in your country. Are they not able to understand what you have achieved, or what's the reason for that?
Great question. I can tell you what we are not going to do. We are not going to do what the Biden administration did, and I believe the American people still have inflation PTSD from the biggest inflation in 49 years, and the Americans, they are right to be upset. The Biden administration created an affordability crisis like we have not seen. We are working to bring that down, and please recall that many outlets in this room said that it was a vibe session. The American people do not know what they are feeling. They don't know how good they have it. What I believe is that the policies will take root and that we are going to see a very, very strong economy this year. We could see 5%, between 4-5% real growth, which would mean 7 or 8% nominal growth. And to answer your question, you may not understand the nuances of the way the U.S. tax bill worked, but part of it is a timing problem. When we did the one big beautiful bill on July 4th, which included the president's signature policies for working Americans, no tax on tip, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans. If you buy an American car, the IRS, which I am also the commissioner of, did not give withholding guidance. So Americans continued paying at the same rate. So in the first quarter, we are going to see substantial tax refunds, maybe up to $1,000 for working households, $1,000 per worker. So we will see these substantial tax refunds. The Americans will adjust their withholding, and they will get an automatic bump up in their weekly or monthly paychecks. So I think that we are on the cusp of an acceleration that working Americans will feel.
Thank you. We'll take the next question. Let's please go right here, ma'am, with the scarf. Name and outlet.
Christine Lee, most recently with Bitcoin Magazine. Can you give us an update this year in 2026, what America's strategy is for a Bitcoin strategic reserve. And given that the SDNY recently seized Bitcoin from developers working on a project called Tornado Cash, what does the administration think about that, contrary to Trump's executive order saying that Bitcoin should not be, seized Bitcoin should not be sold?
So a lot of things to unpack there. I'm not going to talk about Bitcoin specifically. What I will talk about is the administration led by Treasury and our colleagues on both sides of the aisle in Congress passed historic legislation, the Genius Act for stablecoins. We are working on clarity legislation. And our goal, again, it is the president bringing digital assets and innovation onshore to the U.S. We want to be the best regulatory regime for digital assets and creativity to spark innovations. The previous administration almost created an extinction event for digital asset companies. We are bringing them back. I'm not going to comment on that would have been seized from the founders and the policy of this government forfeitures.
Great. We'll take the next question here in the front row. Ma'am, with the turtleneck, please.
It's a big turtleneck.
Name and outlet.
Mr. Secretary, Hadley Gamble with IMI. Thank you so much for taking my question. The first part of which is there has been a great deal of your option when it comes to Greenland, which would be essentially to dump U.S. treasuries. How is the Treasury Department and the White House prepared for that? What's the plan if that's something that they begin to do?
Well, I just want to say this is a false narrative that there is no talk in European governments. This was a report written by Deutsche Bank that this could happen. The media has latched onto this. I think it is a completely false narrative. It defies any logic, and I could not disagree more strongly on that. If you look, the U.S. Treasury market was the best performing market in the world, or the best G7 performing bond market, and we had the best performance since 2020. It is the most liquid market. It is the basis for all financial transactions, and I am sure that the European governments will continue holding it. And as I said, I think everyone needs to take a deep breath. Do not listen to the media, who are hysterical, just like they were, just like you all were. Let's just go back to what happened after April 2nd, hysteria. And what happened? We had the fastest stock market recovery in history. So I think these false narratives, get out there, get spun up out of control. When I was an investor, part of my success was sticking back, looking at the medium and long term, and ignoring the media.
And so just to follow on to that, so you do not believe that the EU or the UK have any retaliatory financial instruments or measures in their bag that the United States should be worried about?
No.
Let's go to the next question. Ma'am, second row, scarf, please, name and outlet. Thank you.
Hi, Jordan Holman with the New York Times. So as you're here in Davos right now, which CEOs are you planning to meet with? And have any of them, either European specifically CEOs, expressed any concern over Greenland and the trade agreements? And if not, what are you hearing from them?
I haven't met any